how about John Mateer and what he's going to be in 2025? If you've watched this show, we are insanely high on number 10. We are. Like, if that ship goes down, we are on the front of the deck saluting the entire time as that thing sinks. I don't think that'll be the case, but whenever you speak positively about John Mateer, I get it, man. It's a little bit tough to trust after you get burned, right? We all have our own trust issues about certain things, and it's interesting whenever you speak about John Mateer and how good he's going to be next year, without fail, in the comment section, in the mentions, always, well, you said the same thing about Jackson Arnold last year. We heard the same thing about our 5-star Prince last year, how good he was supposed to be, and look at where we are now. I hear you. What I'm saying, though, this with John Mateer is not that with Jackson Arnold. Full disclaimer, I'm pro Jackson Arnold. I think he can have a lot of success at Auburn. But I think that John Mateer and what he is going into this upcoming season is a vastly different story, which we'll unpack together. Before we do, Oklahoma fans, college football sickos, lock in, subscribe. It's college football, nothing but college football. I told y'all we love this sport with every fiber of our being. We make a college football show for people that watch full game college football reruns on YouTube during the month of May. This is for y'all. So if that's you, go ahead and lock in. Appreciate y'all being subscribed. When you think about what John Mateer is relative to what Jackson Arnold was, the references you check for a John Mateer are very, very different than the references you check for Jackson Arnold. Because Jackson Arnold, you saw him in a bowl game not look awesome. There were flashes. There were things that I took away from that said, okay, I see where this could be, but there was a lot of turnovers in that bowl game against Arizona. And that was really the only sample size you had to go off of the guy outside of garbage time. You went from checking the references with like a high school chem teacher to then checking references with a former boss, with who John Mateer played for last year. There's actual real college football games you can go and watch that John Mateer started real production from a year ago, 44 total touchdowns, to where you can look at that and say, okay, that's something that's potentially more reliable. Not that Jackson Arnold as a 5-star was like the wrong grading for him as a prospect. I don't think the industry whiffed on Jackson Arnold as a prospect. I think the situation last year, though, with what you were expecting of him, there wasn't the same, again, references, data point, film to watch that would give you the same confidence that you should have about a John Mateer. You're also not just hoping this whole thing floats when it comes to what's around John Mateer, specifically at the staff level. As much as I believe in what Jackson Arnold can be in the future, like last year he was working with an offensive coordinator he had never worked with before. He had never truly game planned throughout the entirety of a season before. Also, the offensive coordinator he had worked with hadn't called plays since 2015. How many of y'all know that's very different than working with a coordinator that you had success with a year ago, had a top 15 offense at Washington State? Ben Arbuckle, John Mateer, handshake emoji, we're not picking up at the same spot. There's very different jumping off points there. I also think the skill set of a John Mateer, like how many times last year did Oklahoma just struggle to even get the play started? We throw this number out a lot. 13% sack rate for Oklahoma, 13% of your snaps ended in a sack. That's wild. It's not even factoring in the amount of pressures Jackson Arnold dealt with. That's a big reason why I'm not believing that Jackson Arnold in his career is just sunk. I still think he's got a lot of juice. Last year, it's impossible to even have an accurate sample size for it. That's why you had Michael Hawkins Jr. in the game for you last year, because he could make something happen after he escaped the inevitable rush that was coming pretty much every single drop back for Oklahoma. John Mateer's got that with him. If you just plugged in John Mateer to last year's offense, I don't think you'd probably go make the college football playoff, but I do think you'd have a lot more success when it came to those plays breaking down, being able to escape the rush, eyes downfield, deliver a good throw. John Mateer's just got a lot more of that. Like, just in general in life, it's always good to have someone on your team that's able to talk their way out of things, diffuse situations, tell a funny joke, kind of change the temperature in the room. That's John Mateer and his mobility. He can diffuse the situation. Got the right blitz dialed up? No worries. Offensive line, putting it together? All good. Not as a non-issue, but he can make more happen there than I think a Jackson Arnold could. Just a better fit overall. So we speak to the coordinator side of it and the staff part of it. Like, let's just be really honest about what this roster was last year, what it is this year. Bad luck. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what kind of whack stuff was going on in Norman, Oklahoma, and all the potential things that could happen to have this kind of bad luck. I don't know if you're stepping on cracks, if you're breaking mirrors, black cats. I don't know. I'm not stitious. I'm not stitious at all. But if you're Oklahoma, you're like, palms up. What do we do? Jackson Arnold was walking into a fixer-upper last year. He was. Even with the roster being what it was and all the injuries, like, The offensive line was brand new. Coordinator brand new. There was holes in the wall. AC wasn't working. 5 new offensive linemen. All that. It was a fixer-upper. You could see how it could work, but it was a fixer-upper. John Mateer, it's not finished, but it's a lot more furnished, right? AC works. Wi-Fi's good. Windows aren't broken. Everything works properly there. New appliances. It's got a coordinator he trusts. Weapons, for the most part, you hope are healthy. Even Giovanni Gibson, when he gets injured during spring practice, you're like, here we go again. Sounds like he's going to be healthy for the season. Okay, hallelujah. One for the good guys. There's a lot more there. Portal add with Jaden Ott and what he is at the running back position. There's a lot more there to where it's already more ready-made for success. I said John Mateer could maybe have more success in last year's offense than Jackson Arnold. Jackson Arnold could have more success this upcoming season than he did last season if he were to stay at Oklahoma. Like, he would have been better. I promise you, based on what's around him, he would have been better if John Mateer hadn't transferred in. So you're hearing me say all this, and you're still probably like feeling a little bit like that kid with glasses in the Polar Express. Okay, so what? So what now? So what is, in the SEC, you have to be able to score points. Sounds kind of like a no-duh statement, but legitimately, look across the conference. Probably half the conference now is offensive coaches, and the teams that you're going to play, Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee, like it's South Carolina, it's LSU. It's going to be a thing here where you can't just go out there and Big Ten West it. Rest in peace to the Big Ten West. It's not going to be a thing you can go win games 14-17, okay? So with John Mateer, and we're talking about quarterback matchups here going forward, I think I'd take John Mateer in every single quarterback matchup, but maybe LSU because of how productive Garrett Nussmeier was, and maybe South Carolina because of how good Sellers is and how good I think he's going to be, and also I've seen him do it in the SEC. But like every other quarterback matchup, I lean John Mateer. So my feel on it, I think he's probably got you a bit more confidence than no knock on Ty Simpson, but than a Ty Simpson. No knock on anyone else they have to play, but I probably feel better about John Mateer across the board there. So as long as you have the most important position as an advantage, you got a chance. You got a chance. And we'll see how this whole thing shakes out with what's the offensive line look like and how do the weapons translate and stay healthy. All that is true, but at a jumping off point in May, there's a lot more to be confident in. There's a lot more to be secure about than what you had last year with Jackson Arnold. This is not a Jackson Arnold slaughter session. I'm pro Jackson Arnold. I hope he kills it at Auburn. I think he will have more success at Auburn. But John Mateer, it's a very, very different beast, just so we're all aligned there. But nonetheless, we will see how it shakes out here in the fall. SEC Media Days, dude, right around the corner. Right around the corner.